guys, it is me Kevin with another iPhone development tutorial, and today what we're going to be making is a square footage calculator. So I'm going to show you what it's going to look like, the final product. So if we open it up here in the simulator, you can see it has the label here, which will be updated by multiplying wall 1 by wall 2 to get the amount of square feet. So for example, if I put in 6 and 87 and I calculate it, it'll give us 522. And we can press the reset button and it'll set it back to 0 and erase everything in here. So let's go ahead and jump into Xcode 5 and select create new Xcode project. Go to iPhone application and single view application and click next. And I'm just going to call this square footage calculator. But you can call it whatever you want to and put whatever you want to put as your organization name. I'm going to put Kevin Lehman, and your company identifier can just be self.edu.yourname, or if you have a website, you can do that. And the class prefix we're just going to leave the same, and devices we're going to put as iPhone. So let's click next, and we're going to create Git repository in case you want to push it up to GitHub for some reason, and press create. So now let's go ahead and first just change our iPhone simulator to the 4-inch Retina. And so let's go ahead and jump into our main.storyboard file. So what we're going to need is, first at the top, like I showed you, we're going to need a label. So go ahead and type in label over here and put it up here, and let's drag it to make it pretty big. Let's drag it to both sides and put it up at the top. And let's go ahead and center it and make the text, let's make it say 50. Looks good. And we're going to set the default text to 0 SQFT, square feet. And now we're going to add 2 more labels, which will not change. We'll just use them as our decoration. And we're going to add 2 text fields right next to the labels. So make sure they're lined up with the labels about here. And drag in another one right under it, and finally we're going to need 2 buttons down at the bottom, centered up. Once you have those in, let's go ahead and make these text fields a little bit bigger. We're going to change this to wall 1, and this one's going to be wall 2. Press enter, and we're going to change this one to calculate. And once again, you can change any of these to whatever you want, and this one's going to be clear. Now go ahead and line these back up in the center. Alright, now let's go ahead and hold Alt and click on our view controller.h, so it'll open up our assistant editor, and you can go ahead and close this out. And so we're going to click first on our square foot label, hold down Control, and drag it over right under our @ interface. And this is going to be an outlet. We're going to call it SQFT label, or you can put it as whatever you want to. And we're going to connect our 2 text fields. So do hold Control and drag it over. I'm going to put this as wall 1 text field. Press connect, and this one's going to be wall 2 text field. So wall 2 text field. Press connect, and finally we need to add our 2 buttons. So hold Control, drag them down. We're going to change this to an action instead of an outlet. We're going to say calculate button, type UI button, touch up inside and sender. And do the same exact thing with the clear button, make it an action. The name is going to be clear button, type UI button, touch up inside and center, and press connect. And so the IB actions, we're not going to make these outlets, because what it's going to do is it's going to make a method in our .m file, so when the button is pressed it can follow out a certain amount of code, and it will be updating our outlets. So let's go ahead and exit out of this and jump into our viewcontroller.m file. We're going to jump down a few spaces and give us some space to write our code in our calculate button method. So when we press it, it'll update our label. So the first thing we're going to do, float wall1 is equal to, we're going to do opening bracket self dot wall1 text field dot text float value. And we're going to do the same thing for wall2. So we're going to do float wall2 is equal to self dot wall2 text field dot text float value. So what this is going to do is when we put in our information in the text field, it's going to turn it into a decimal point value. And the reason we don't want to do an integer instead of a float is because when it's a float, if we put in a number, say like 4.5 feet, then it wouldn't show up that half foot and it wouldn't be accurate when calculating our square feet. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do self dot square feet label dot text is equal to opening bracket NSstring string with format and string with format at open quote %I closing quote comma, and we're going to do calculated. And this is going to throw us an error because we don't have a calculated thing. So we need to go ahead and create a float called calculated. And this is going to be equal to wall1 times wall2. And this is going to give us our square feet. So if you want to go ahead and change this to a float value. So if we want to go ahead and run our simulator, alright, so when it opens up, we can click on our first one, and we can put, say, 6 feet, and we can put, say, 12 feet, and when we calculate it, it'll show us the amount of square feet. So now what we need to do is see how it gave us a lot of zeros, and it didn't show us the square foot label right after. So what we're going to do is first 0.02 feet, and this is going to round an estimate, and instead of doing, say, 0.028539, it'll just give us 0.28, which would be a more accurate value. So we're going to do first 0.02f, and then we're going to put SQFT, and that'll give us the label right after. So if we go ahead and run this again, it will show us, if we do 6 and 12 again, and we calculate it, so it'll do 0.00, and then it'll add the square feet here. And so let's go ahead and close out of this. And so we need to add a few more things. So first what we need to do is we need to do opening bracket self dot wall1 text field, and we're going to put a space. We're going to do resign first responder, and we're going to copy this whole line and one down and paste it, and we're just going to change this to wall2. So now when we press the calculate button, the keyboard will go down and we won't see it anymore. So now for our clear button, when that is pressed, we're going to go ahead and make some space. So what we're going to do is we're going to say self dot square feet label dot text is equal to at quote quote, so that'll make it, or no, 0 square feet. So that'll make it back to our original. Oh, take out one of these. And we're going to say self dot wall1 text field dot text is equal to at quote quote and close it off, and just copy all of this and paste it in and change this to wall 2. And if we run our project now, we can see that we can put in, say, 23 and 8 or 14.23. If we calculate this, it'll show us this, and if we press clear, it'll put it back to normal. So we can go ahead and put another value in and calculate it. So thank you guys for watching. Please hit the like button, share it, and subscribe. And if you liked it, go check out my other tutorials for more information on making iPhone apps. Thank you guys, and goodbye.